I've been trying to get as close to zero waste as possible.
For those serious about recycling, a new service picks up items others will not.
Well, there's so much about driving that is out of our control.
When it comes to safe driving, how do you stack up compared to others behind the wheel? And a visit to the Beacon Food Forest, chock full of fresh produce available to anyone willing to pitch in.
Fresh food.
These stories and more next on CityStream. Hello, I'm Jeff Renner. Welcome to CityStream from the West Seattle Bee Garden. Nestled at the northern edge of High Point Commons Park sits a bright enclosure that's home to several beehives. The adjacent pea patch and garden make it a perfect spot to learn about the role ecology plays in our everyday lives. The hives can be viewed through plexiglass walls, making it a popular outdoor class for West Seattle school kids. Also, the annual Bee Festival is right around the corner. More on that in a bit. West Seattle is the latest stop for a new recycling service. A company called Ridwell will accept items traditional recyclers won't. Items such as bubble wrap and plastic film, batteries and light bulbs. And as Nicole Sanchez reports, the idea for the company was inspired by a young child.
Heather Hamilton is serious about recycling.
I'm very conscious of the impact that I'm having on the earth. And so I've been trying to get as close to zero waste as possible.
She is thrilled that Ridwell is now offering their recycling pickup service in her West Seattle neighborhood.
And I am super excited to not have to drive out to Kent to dispose of a lot of my recyclable materials.
The item she is most excited they will recycle for her, plastic film, which seems to be on so many items we buy.
The big one for me is plastic wrap, so plastic bags, food wrap, a lot of different product wrappings. I was storing those in a big bag in my garage, and they're kind of unwieldy to manage.
The idea for Ridwell was originally started in Queen Anne in 2017, when Ryan Metzger's son, Owen, decided there had to be an easier way to recycle batteries from his electronic toys and devices.
But it was us just finding categories where things could be reused or recycled. And so we would find a partner who would take batteries or electronics or styrofoam, and then we would take some neighbor stuff too, because it was more efficient to do it that way.
Owen's list continued to grow. In October of 2018, they decided to rename and recreate the model for the company, which is now known as Ridwell. Customers sign up for service that includes pickup every other week, with rates ranging from $10 a month to $14. The price depends on how long you sign up for. Members receive 4 cloth bags, 1 for plastic film, which includes the plastic seals on items, Amazon shipping plastic pouches, and even bubble wrap. 1 bag is for recycling light bulbs. They can take any kind of household light bulb, but they can't take fluorescents. Another bag is for recycling batteries. And finally, the 4th bag is for threads, clothes, and fabrics, even if they have rips or holes. They too can be recycled.
It's super convenient. They come to your front door and take things away, and it just is such an easy thing to do. And it's not only great for the community, but it's really great for the environment.
For every pickup, Ridwell offers a rotating category, which include not so common items like latex paint, electronics, car seats, or oral care products. The rotating categories also include items that can benefit local nonprofits, like eyeglasses for Lions Northwest, or diapers and wipes for Westside Baby.
Oh, great, thank you.
Something nonprofits are very excited about.
We are thrilled to have a partnership with Ridwell, who is an organization that is also helping to keep things in the flow in a way that is good for the environment and good for families.
And the rotating category can even make a child's birthday party even brighter.
Do you remember, Owen, what happened to the Halloween candy we picked up?
We gave it to people who didn't have it.
For their birthday parties, remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would go around and pick up candy, and it was a place called Birthday Dreams, and so we got boxes and boxes and boxes of candy that we brought to them. Remember that one? That was one of your favorites, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ridwell already has more than 750 members and plans to grow in the greater Seattle market and possibly beyond.
All right, Owen, let's get ready for tomorrow.
so they can help more people recycle even more items.
Thanks. The desire to get rid of things in positive ways is something that other communities have too, and so if we can expand this to new markets and new cities, we'd love to try and see if we can do that.
If you'd like to learn more about the company and their service areas in Seattle, check out their website, ridwell.com. Are you a safe driver? A friendly competition reveals your good habits and bad as CityStream continues. When was the last time you critiqued your driving skills? Now is a good time. The city's Department of Transportation is rolling out Seattle's Safest Driver 2.0. This friendly competition is part of Vision Zero, a program to end all traffic fatalities. If you're unsure whether to take part, a $5,000 prize might be all the incentive you need.
In the context of safety and how Seattle kind of pairs up against other cities, we are one of the safest cities in the country, if not the world, when it comes to safety for people traveling on our streets. At the same time, we are seeing over more than 13,000 crashes every year. And on average, as a result, we see about 150 or so serious injuries that people are sustaining. And then close to 20 people every year are losing their lives as a result of a traffic crash. So even though we are a safe city in the relative scheme of things, we believe that one death is one death too many. And that's why we're really going after Vision Zero. Vision Zero is actually part of an international movement to end traffic deaths and serious injuries. And so in Seattle, we're trying to achieve zero deaths and injuries on our streets by 2030, and we think we're going to get there in a variety of ways. We've got to look at how we engineer our streets, how we educate the public, on rules of the road and things like that, and how we enforce those laws. So it's going to take a lot of different approaches, and what we're really after is changing people's behavior for the better.
Safe driving is a learned behavior. It's not something that we necessarily get a lot of feedback on. It's probably been a long time for most of us since we were in driving school. And that might be the last time, other than someone honking behind us, that we got feedback on our driving.
It's really hard to change people's behavior. I mean, think about your own behavior on a daily basis, whether you're walking, biking, or driving. What does it take to make you change? Sometimes it takes a ticket. Sometimes it takes, us retooling the street, and sometimes it takes incentives. I was at a conference in New York with a couple colleagues, and I sat in on a session where a guy from the city of Boston was presenting about this Boston Safest Driver competition, and they saw behavior improve. So they looked at some of the most active users, and they saw a 47% decrease in phone distraction and about a 35% decrease in speeding. And then we started having conversations with the app developer that they worked with, Cambridge Mobile Telematics. So we kind of took their effort and streamlined it for us a little bit, and started working with them in earnest in the summer, and then launched it in November. So you download the app, it's free, and then put in your zip code and your email address if you want to be contacted for prizes, and then it'll start tracking in the background.
So I got an email that let me know that there's this app out there and a competition going on, and I like a good competition.
So it's an 8-week competition, and every other week, thanks to a partnership that we've been able to put together with PEMCO Insurance. We've been able to provide prizes to people, so prizes for best driver for the 2-week chunks of time, most improved, least distracted, or people who have actually taken the most number of transit and bike trips as well.
We jumped at the opportunity because we felt like it was a really perfect match for the things that we're really passionate about.
Well, there's so much about driving that is out of our control, like the weather, the condition of the road, other drivers on the road, that it's really important to focus on the things that you can control as much as possible.
Because the app tracks a number of metrics. It tracks your speeding, your harsh braking, your acceleration, how you take a turn, so you're cornering.
Yeah, it uses like a gyroscope inside your phone as well as the accelerometer to both tell how fast you're accelerating or decelerating.
And then phone distraction.
You know, sometimes we forget about what an impact that can make when you're transitioning from looking at the road to looking at anything else, but especially the phone and that lapse of time in between.
We're not going to use this to, one, set up speed traps, or two, like, write you a ticket because we know you were speeding in a certain place. That's not what this is about. Cambridge Mobile Telematics is like processing and managing the data, and we've tried to be as clear as we can that obviously, like, we're a public agency, and so any information that you provide to us or that we collect is, potentially publicly available. But the thing about the competition is it's totally opt-in, and all we're asking for from people is their zip code, just to make sure that they're eligible for prizes, and then their email address if they would like to be contacted if they do win a prize. Otherwise, the data is aggregated and anonymized.
I thought it was fun. It wasn't something where I thought, oh, I'm going to win this one.
The smaller prizes along the way have been like $50 Amazon cards. Second place will get $1,000, and third place will get $500. The grand prize winner is going to get $2,000 cash.
The rock reliever, Seattle safest driver. Congratulations.
We all have the capacity to be horrible drivers. We all have the capacity to be great drivers. It's the most dangerous thing you're going to do in the day is get behind the wheel of your car. So, if you can have some attention to how you can make that, change that behavior to be safer, then that benefits everybody in the community.
The competition has several new changes this year. SDOT's Allison Schwartz brings us up to speed.
So this year we are back with an even bigger grand prize. It's about 2.5 times the size as last time, so $5,000 grand prize. Second place winner is $2,500 and a third place winner is $1,000. So last time around it was $2K. We're upping the ante there, and that's again thanks to a continued partnership with PEMCO Insurance. We've also lowered the age requirement from 18 to 17 to really kind of capture some more of the teen drivers who we know might need some nudges and improvements to their behavior. It's still open to folks across the 4-county region who drive into Seattle, because we know that we're a regional city. We're still going to offer prizes every other week to folks who are the safest driver, the least distracted driver, and also for people who take transit and bike. It is Bike Month in May, so we're really looking to improve people's safety behavior so that people walking and biking can be better protected. So we've got prizes from companies like Car2Go, Zipcar, Lyft, Uber, and Lime Bike. And also the Science Center has chipped in a bunch of free general admission and laser show tickets, which is very exciting. And Rachel's Ginger Beer has also chipped in some prizes. So kind of a bigger assortment of prizes and partnership on this contest.
Seattle's Safest Driver competition runs through July 8th. If you'd like more information, check out the website, seattle.gov/Vision Zero. And we're back with the driving force behind the West Seattle Bee Garden, Lauren Englund. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. This is beautiful. What led you to create this space?
It started back in 2012 when I watched the documentary The Vanishing of the Bees, which focused primarily on the plight of the honeybee. And that's what got me interested in beekeeping. But I lived here in High Point in a townhouse and didn't have much of a backyard. So I looked into keeping a hive here in the pea patch in the neighborhood. But I needed to get support for that idea, so I was looking for precedents for keeping bees in pea patches in Seattle. And I learned that the group at Bradner Gardens Park had kept bees there, and they had put an educational enclosure around their hives. And I thought, what a great idea. If you're going to put bees in a public space, why not make it educational? So I posted that idea on the West Seattle blog and got 100 responses within 10 days from people within the West Seattle community who liked the idea and wanted to help.
Now, I understand this is a very popular field trip destination. You're outdoors, you have some benches back here. Why is it important to educate young people about the importance of bees?
I think that bringing awareness to issues helps people make good decisions. So that's what we try to do here at the garden, is bring awareness to pollinators and the role they play in the health of our ecology. So with the students and the field trips, we're teaching them about pollinators and what they can do to help them.
Now, this is the enclosure back here. What exactly do you do when you go in the enclosure? And I guess the broader question might be, what exactly does a beekeeper like yourself do?
Sure. Well, why don't I show you?
I'd like that.
Okay, so usually what we're checking when we assess a hive is the overall health of the hive. I'm checking to make sure it has what it needs. Does it have enough food? Does it have enough space? I'm checking for the queen. I want to make sure the queen is healthy and that she's there. I can't always find the queen. There's only one of them in the hive of 30,000 plus bees.
That would be a task.
But if I see eggs, then I know she's around, because it takes 3 days for an egg to hatch. So if I see eggs, I know she's been there within 3 days.
So can you demonstrate for us how you'd look into one of these?
So this top box is the feeder box. I put these honey frames in there because I had some extras. And this is some sugar water that I put in there for the bees to get them started, because I just recently installed a nucleus colony in this hive.
Okay.
So this is the inner cover. This is always the most exciting part during the field trips for the kids.
Oh, there are a lot of them in here.
And you know, there can be a lot more. This is still a relatively new hive. And what I want to see today, what I would like to check is if the queen is laying, because she just recently came out, and I'm hoping to see eggs. So during a field trip and with a more established hive, this top box is usually all honey. We call the top of the hive the pantry, where the food is, and the bottom of the hive is the nursery, where the queen's usually laying her eggs. But this hive hasn't had enough time to make a lot of honey yet. And there's eggs. There's lots of eggs in here. So
point those out to me if you
They're
would.
really small. They look like little tiny grains of rice standing on end. If you look down.
Oh,
in the
okay,
middle,
yes,
you
yes.
see
If
'em?
you look down in there, yes.
Yeah, and on this frame I see mostly worker bees, the small ones. These bigger guys here, those are drones. Those are the male bees. You can tell a drone because he's bigger and has big eyes, like goggles up front. They need to be big and strong so they can fly fast and mate with the queens in flight. And they need really good vision to be able to see her when they do that.
So we've heard quite a bit about bee deaths. I think they're called bee colony collapses. Is the news still grim on that? And in any case, is there anything we can do individually?
It's still grim. The percentage of beehives that die each year is still increasing, although the number of hives that exist is remaining pretty constant. But that's primarily because beekeepers are getting better at replacing their hives. Honeybees are one of 25,000 different species of bees that exist. Really? There's 5,000 different species of bees in North America. And most of those are wild native bees.
and all the bees are struggling. Things we can do to help that would be planting pollinator-friendly plants, so planting plants that produce nectar and pollen for the bees to eat. They need healthy food. Leaving portions of our yards uncultivated, that creates space for native pollinators to burrow in the wood and create homes and nests for themselves. We can vote with our dollar and purchase organic, sustainably farmed produce.
It seems like a lot of the task here is getting the word out, and I think you've got a special festival coming up. Can you tell us where and when and the particulars of that?
Sure. We've got the West Seattle Bee Festival coming up on Saturday, May 18th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Here in High Point. And there will be a bee parade. Early in the morning, there's a honey run. There will be music and dancing and lots of different vendors representing companies in Seattle that are environmentally sustainable and do lots of good things. We'll be doing a hive demonstration here in the enclosure at noon. The Puget Sound Beekeepers Association will be here talking about bees and doing honey tasting. All kinds of fun activities for the kids. There's lots of information on our website at westseattlebeegarden.com.
Sounds wonderful. Lauren Englund, manager of the West Seattle Bee Garden, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day, and I'm sure people are going to want to come for the festival. Thank you very much. It went from a patch of land to an edible environment, creating the Beacon Food Forest, next on CityStream. The High Point Commons Pea Patch is one of 89 community gardens located throughout the city. Pea patches are a grouping of individual plots. Residents pay an annual fee to tend one. At this location here, there are 46 parcels. The name Pea Patch commemorates the Picardo family, who operated a truck farm in Wedgwood. The family loaned part of its farm to the city, which then became Seattle's first community garden. That explains what the P stands for in Pea Patch. From garden to forest, the traditional pea patch model was scaled up, way up, across town. Most conventional gardens have a row or two of vegetables that comprise one layer. But the 7-acre Beacon Food Forest boasts 7 different layers, from root crops to a canopy of fruit trees. Shannon G. has more.
I've become addicted. I love it here.
The gardens look amazing, and yeah, the growth is incredible.
This project is us taking ownership of our commons, that this is public space and it's owned by all of the people.
It's amazing. Just this idea inspires so many people, and they gather around it and bring their energy to the table. It's really powerful.
A food forest, it emulates a natural forest, except we're planting things that human beings can use.
And it looks to create more of an ecological food production gardening. So it's sort of urban agriculture where we are trying to mimic a natural woodland system, but we're placing in different edible and useful plants for the community.
Also in a food forest, what's happening is this relationship between the plants and the ecosystem. When we plant things, we want to make sure that they're complementing and working together and providing a number of functions. Something flowers, it's going to provide nectar and pollen to local honeybees.
It's built on a system of guilds, which has 7 layers. The top layer would be the canopy and the trees, fruits and nuts, going down into shrubs and berries, down into perennials, down into herbaceous, down into soil amendments and vines as well.
What it is creating is a very rich ecosystem that has more life than, say, a monoculture of agriculture, and it's got a lot more long-term sustainability to it.
The project started in a permaculture design course. We created this 13-acre design for this whole area on the western slope. And the most useful tool that we came out of that class was this physical map that we had drawn. And we used that map to show the community for the first time what a food forest could be and what a community garden could be here actually on this land.
We had expected maybe 30 people to come, and 60 to 70 people came. We wanted to feed people well, we had an abundance of food, and a diverse number of people came that night. And it was also the night that the hired landscape architect and permaculture designer came in and brought some ideas for us to mull over, and then having people say, I like this, and rub shoulders looking over the tables and point and sketch and start getting excited about something that was coming together.
Right now we're in a very young forest right now. We started 2 years ago, so our trees are pretty young, but we've gotten in a lot of the perennials and the shrubs, so forth, to support these trees.
And it's different than a pea patch in a community garden in our urban settings is that our traditional Seattle pea patches, community gardens, allot plots to families who tend them. And they're typically 10 by 10, and families typically do annual vegetables. And so this differs on the food forest area is that this is an open harvest. We call it ethical harvest for everyone. So when people walk through the park and they see a ripe berry, they can enjoy that. And when it's time to harvest apples, we will have some instruction and signage on how to do that gently and ethically. Like take some for yourself, leave some for somebody else. The work parties and the ability to get involved is open to everyone. So if someone's passing through from Texas, they can come and help and then move on. That's a little different than a pea patch model.
And this, as you can see, we've covered everything with wood chips, which is actually robbing the soil of nitrogen. So the lupins are trying to fix it again.
With the wood chips, the mycelium love it, you know? So it's a balance that you're trying to.
And if people want to come back regularly but not be obligated to tend a garden that's specifically under their care, this really works for them, that they can come and do it collectively, shoulder to shoulder, side by side with people, and learn from each other and enjoy a day like today.
I've been volunteering for about 2 years now, taking on all sorts of projects, leading teams at work parties, and making efforts go further on all sorts of directions.
Fresh food.
For example, tonight, every Wednesday night, a group of us have come together to harvest and pass the food out to the local community as a way to engage them and let them know that the area down there is for the community to grow food together. Explore the idea of how to grow food for each other, how to take what you need and share the abundance.
I love eating them.
Wow, thank you for all being here. We're going to begin our celebration of completing phase 1 of the Beacon Food Forest. Projects like the Beacon Food Forest are adding a foundation of health right in the center of a city.
1,000 people have been involved with this project, I could safely say, done something here. That's really satisfying. You physically do something together and have a result that we call ours together. It's been a palette for dreaming.
The Beacon Food Forest continues to develop, expand, and grow more food. To find out more about monthly work parties and other events, check out this website, beaconfoodforest.org. We'll be right back. That wraps up this episode of CityStream from the West Seattle Bee Garden. Now don't forget that the 7th Annual Bee Festival is Saturday, May 18th. If you'd like more information, visit their website at westseattlebeegarden.com. I'm Jeff Renner. Thanks for joining us.